On the first day of the reality show, I swapped bodies with my CEO husband. Just as I was about to contact him for a solution, his secretary arrived with some news. My husband had hired internet trolls to smear my reputation, intending to use me as a stepping stone for his beloved muse on the show. I immediately changed my plan and decided to play along with my husband's scheme. "I'll leave the show to you. You wouldn't want the company to find out something's wrong, would you?" He fell silent. Chapter 1. For the first time, I hung up on Alfred Easton's call and felt an exhilarating sense of freedom. I swept the papers off my desk and quickly opened the live stream of the reality show I was participating in. As a famous flower vase in the entertainment industry, my live stream was never short of haters. The moment I opened it, the screen was filled with a flurry of nasty comments, some of which were even blurred. It wasn't hard to imagine what those comments looked like before they were censored. Although I had long developed a thick skin, the thought that Alfred had a hand in this made my blood boil. Fortunately, at that moment, Alfred stepped out of the bathroom on the live stream, his sour expression momentarily easing my mood. His unhappiness made me happy. Not many could understand the depth of animosity between us as a married couple. Chapter 2. I watched as Alfred strode into the living room with an air of arrogance. The other guests were happily chatting, but the moment they saw him, the room fell silent. "Our princess has finally graced us with her presence," one of the guests said sarcastically. Alfred ignored the comment and headed straight for the kitchen. I wasn't surprised by his reaction. As the CEO of Easton Enterprises, Alfred had always been aloof, never sparing a glance for people he deemed unimportant. Even towards me, his nominal wife, he acted the same. Because of his status, most people tolerated his coldness, some even considering it justified. But now he was in my body. The aura of wealth and power had vanished, replaced by the notorious reputation he had helped create for me. Even if he tried to be careful, he couldn't avoid criticism, let alone with his arrogant attitude. The live stream comments exploded. "She really thinks she's a princess, huh? So arrogant, why not go to Mars? Cat abuser, get out of the entertainment industry. Karaoke princess is still a princess, huh?" Alfred couldn't see these comments, but the guests' unanimous rejection of him was unmistakable. In the first game, Alfred was the first to be eliminated by everyone, including his beloved muse, Lorelei Hazlitt. Chapter 3. Watching Alfred's expression change from disbelief to anger on the screen, I couldn't help but laugh. I poured myself another glass of soda. As a celebrity, I had to control my diet to maintain my figure. Now that I had the chance to eat freely without worrying about gaining weight or breaking out, I wasn't about to pass it up. Fried chicken, desserts, milk tea, cola, spicy snacks. All the things I usually avoided were now laid out in front of me. Meanwhile, Alfred only had a packet of instant noodles sponsored by the brand, and he had to cook them himself. Not to mention whether he knew how to cook them, just the fact that they were instant noodles. I'd heard him speak disparagingly about them, saying only people with no taste or money ate such low-quality industrial food. That made me lose my rare good mood about eating instant noodles. But now the wealthy, refined Mr. Alfred was stuck with this low-quality food. I bit into a drumstick, watching Alfred's stern face as he glared at the packet of noodles, eager to see his reaction. Then out of nowhere, Lorelei appeared. "I can't finish all this food. It'd be a shame to waste it," she said, smiling sweetly. "Wanna join me?" Unlike my more glamorous appearance, Lorelei had a pure, innocent face that made her the first love of everyone she met. With such a considerate gesture, it was hard not to like her. Alfred, who already had feelings for Lorelei, couldn't refuse. He accepted the plate with a warm expression I had never seen before. But I didn't have time to feel sad about it. I quickly grabbed my phone with greasy hands and called my secretary. "Contact the production team and make sure Alfred doesn't eat that food. Damn it, I'm allergic to mangoes." Chapter 4. Despite my best efforts, Alfred still had an allergic reaction. The only relief was that the show received the call right after he had taken just a few bites, so the reaction wasn't severe. "Why didn't you tell me you're allergic to mangoes?" he demanded over the phone. I sneered. "I told you 3 years ago. How could you forget and still have the nerve to question me?" 3 years ago, when I accompanied him home for dinner, his mother had bought fresh mangoes. I mentioned my allergy when she offered me some. Alfred was sitting right beside me. Even his mother, who didn't particularly like me, remembered my mango allergy. Yet Alfred, my husband, didn't care at all. How could I have been so blind to think Alfred liked me? At my retort, he fell silent. I didn't expect him to say anything nice, so I ended the call abruptly. Chapter 5. The show went on as scheduled in the afternoon. Though I didn't want to see Alfred, I opened the live stream for the sake of maintaining my image. Through the screen, I carefully examined my face. My forehead and cheeks were slightly red, but the rash had already subsided. Thank goodness. No permanent damage. I breathed a sigh of relief. But that relief was short-lived when I saw Lorelai walk over to Alfred. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were allergic to mangoes," she said, her expression full of guilt, though something about it felt off. But then again, how could Lorelai, who had just returned from abroad, know about my mango allergy? Was I overthinking it? Alfred replied, "It's okay, you didn't know." Lorelai sighed in relief. "I'm so glad you don't blame me. I was terrified. Thank goodness the director reminded us in time, and you didn't eat much. Otherwise, I would have been the villain." "But how did the director know you were allergic to mangoes if you didn't?" Lorelai asked curiously. "Yeah, who told the director?" another guest asked, grinning. All eyes turned to Alfred, making him frown uncomfortably. Maybe she told the director herself. Self-directed drama, trying to frame Lorelai. Too bad we're not fools. How could the director know if she didn't? "Lorelai, stay away from this vicious woman." As the barrage of comments rolled in, I knew exactly how this would play out. No matter how Alfred explained, it would be pointless. People would stick to their assumptions, and with my tarnished reputation, anything I said would be dismissed as a defense. Even though Alfred explained that a family member had reminded him, and the show verified it, the other guests still looked at him with suspicion. Only Lorelai said she believed him. But she was the one who had started this whole thing. Alfred, ever proud, had already reached his limit with one explanation. Now, despite the subtle and overt suspicions from the others, he refused to say another word, standing at the edge of the group with a dark expression. His eyes occasionally flicked over to Lorelai, who was happily chatting with everyone else. As the heir to Easton Enterprises, Alfred had always been the brightest star in any crowd. I had seen him surrounded by adoring fans. Now, seeing him ostracized in my place, I felt a strange sense of satisfaction. This was exactly what Alfred had wanted, using my supposed malice to highlight Lorelai's goodness. Even though the core had shifted, the effect he wanted had been achieved. So why was he unhappy? I suddenly realized that perhaps Alfred had done this on purpose. After all, it wasn't his body. Why would he care? Chapter 6. The show decided to stir the pot once again. Alfred and Lorelai were paired together to take care of pets at a pet store. But with the scandal of me allegedly abusing cats still hanging over my head, this was just asking for trouble. And to make matters worse, I was paired with Lorelai, which only fueled my suspicions. Considering what the secretary had mentioned about arrangements with the show, this seemed to be the result. Letting a suspected cat abuser care for animals? The show must be crazy. Ket up uza, godi. Poor Lorelai, having to be in the same group. Trying to whitewash herself, huh? With connections like that, anything's possible. I laughed bitterly to myself. Sorry to disappoint, but the connections aren't for my whitewashing. The cat abuse scandal began with a misleading paparazzi photo, which could have been easily cleared up. But then, a flood of fabricated blackmail stories surfaced, spread by influencers, painting me as a two-faced, promiscuous gold digger. The cat abuse photo became evidence, making it nearly impossible to clear my name. I had wondered who my rival could be, but it turned out to be my husband of 5 years. I couldn't understand it. He was the one who pursued me, and in 5 years, I had never cheated on him or wronged him in any way. Even if his muse had returned, did he really need to resort to such ruthless tactics against me? If I wasn't mistaken, the show would continue to set me up, cementing my reputation as an animal abuser. But before I could see how they would proceed, the secretary came in to remind me about the afternoon meeting. I glanced at Alfred's cold expression on the live stream and reluctantly closed it. The 2-hour meeting, which I had been forced into, went smoothly. Thanks to my university training, I managed to handle it without raising any suspicions. Eager to see the aftermath of the show, I downloaded Twitter on Alfred's phone. But before I could open it, the secretary reported the afternoon's incident. Mr. Easton MS. Hazlitt was pushed by Mrs. Easton and injured her ankle on the show. Just as the app finished downloading, I opened it to see the trending topic. I had arrogantly pushed Lorelai and injured her on the show. The top trending topic was about me pushing Lorelai, followed by another about my self-directed mango allergy. I looked up at the secretary. Did you buy this? The secretary humbly replied, it's part of the VVVIP service package from the Troll Company. I just received their message. Right, he'd been taking meeting notes. If he had time to buy trending topics, that would have been strange. I nodded. The proposal you submitted this morning wasn't innovative enough. I want a new one by tomorrow morning, and the meeting minutes by 8 p.m. tonight. It was already 6:50 p.m. The secretary's smile froze. I patted his shoulder and gave him an encouraging smile. You're so capable. I believe you can complete my tasks in the shortest time. I have faith in you. Chapter 7. It wasn't me who pushed her. That night, during our scheduled call, I asked Alfred about pushing Lorelai, and he immediately denied it. Although the live stream couldn't be replayed, many viewers had recorded the incident, and the video was circulating everywhere. In the video, Lorelai approached Alfred with a cat and asked him to hold it, but he pushed her away, causing her to fall. From the video alone, it was clear that Alfred had pushed Lorelai. But just like the photo of me supposedly abusing a cat, the angle could have created a misleading impression. The key was Lorelai's words after being helped up. Sorry, I didn't know you hated cats so much. That statement led everyone to believe that Alfred had pushed her. If you didn't push her, did Lorelai push herself? I feigned disbelief. In truth, I did believe Alfred. He liked Lorelai, so there was no reason he would push her. The shock on his face in the video seemed genuine. But why should I trust him? A man who was so cold towards his wife could easily push a stranger just because he disliked cats, couldn't he? You really hate cats that much? I thought you got along with Juno at home. Juno was my mother-in-law's cat. You're not holding a grudge against Lorelai for the mango allergy, are you? I told you it wasn't me. I'm not that petty. Fine, it wasn't you, I said dismissively, clearly showing that I didn't believe him. Don't forget to apologize to Lorelai tomorrow. Alfred, why should I? I cut him off. My reputation is already ruined enough. I don't want to be blamed for something I didn't do. I don't know which jerk hired trolls to smear me. Even if it wasn't me, no one would believe it. Alfred fell silent. I smirked. He had no idea how it felt to be smeared. Maybe he'd learn, but only after it happened to him. Too bad it wasn't a video call. I would have loved to see his expression right now. I was about to vent a bit more when a message popped up on the laptop. Did you see today's news? I looked at the contact name Lorelai. I had only planned to use Alfred's laptop to watch a show, but this was an unexpected surprise. I was about to reply no, but Alfred had already replied first. Yes. It seemed Alfred had logged into his account on my phone. I felt relieved that it was my work phone and didn't contain anything private. Lorelai, don't blame MS. Daphne, it wasn't intentional. It was my fault for scaring her with the cat. What a manipulative tone. It's impressive that she typed such a long message in just a few seconds. Alfred, was it really her who pushed you? Another message popped up, followed by Alfred's voice on the phone. I told you it wasn't me. I won't apologize. Whether it was you or not, if everyone thinks it was, what can you do? I mocked. Don't forget, you're in my body now. You pushed Lorelai, ruining my reputation. Asking you to apologize to restore it is the least you could do. Unless, of course, you have proof that you didn't push Lorelai? Lorelai. I didn't stand properly. Otherwise, I wouldn't have fallen. But thankfully, only I fell, and the cat wasn't hurt. Alfred. But Daphne said she didn't push you. Seeing Alfred's message made me realize how protective he was of Lorelai. Even when accused, he couldn't bear to confront her. If it had been me in that situation, he would have probably yelled at me. I recalled the day the cat abuse scandal exploded and how Alfred's calls went unanswered. I still had no idea what he wanted to say. It probably wasn't anything nice, but now that I knew he was the mastermind behind it, I was curious to know just how shameless he really was. Lorelei, do you think you framed her? She sent a picture of her bandaged ankle. I don't know what MS. Daphne told you, but if you think I'd hurt myself to frame her, we shouldn't be in touch anymore. I didn't expect you to think of me as such a despicable person. Alfred, no. Alfred, I didn't suspect you. Alfred, I just want to know if there's a misunderstanding here. However, his 3 messages were met with nothing but a red exclamation mark. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Luckily, Alfred seemed so focused on Lorelei that he didn't notice my sudden sharp laugh. I quickly suppressed my smile and looked away from the screen, pressing my lips together. Alfred, did you hear what I said? I heard. Why do you sound like something's wrong? You've been quiet for so long. Did something happen? I deliberately asked. Great, now he was silent again. Well, if you don't want to talk, that's fine. But don't forget what I said earlier. This time, Alfred didn't argue back. It made me reflect on how clever Lorelei was and how deeply Alfred felt for her. But if he loved her so much, why keep me in the middle of it all? Men are really something else. By the way, I asked the secretary to send you the meeting minutes for this afternoon on your work account. And about tomorrow's meeting, make sure you're prepared. You don't want to make a fool of yourself, do you? Okay. With that, Alfred hung up the phone. I looked at the screen where the call had ended, raised an eyebrow, and tossed my phone aside, feeling oddly satisfied. Then, I picked up the laptop and began scrolling through Alfred and Lorelei's chat history. Chapter 8. I have a habit of regularly cleaning up my records, so the oldest chat history I could trace back was only a few months. But Alfred and Lorelei's history was surprisingly detailed, even going back 8 years to when they first met. From these records, it was clear that I could reconstruct the entire timeline of their relationship, from meeting, falling in love, separating, to reuniting. A very typical story. Young love in college, but their families had too much of a difference in status. The man's family intervened and broke them apart. Just as the woman was about to go abroad for further studies, she suggested they break up. Years later, after completing her studies, the woman returned to the country, and they unexpectedly reunited. The old flame was rekindled, and in this record, I was nothing more than a tool Alfred used to provoke Lorelei, a wife meant to be replaced and discarded. Alfred, I have someone I like. Her name is Daphne. The accompanying photo was one of me and Alfred when we first met. Looking at the photo of the young, fresh-faced girl in a white dress, I couldn't help but feel a pang. It had been so long since I saw myself like that. At the time, I had just entered the entertainment industry. My manager took me to a social event, which I thought was a normal gathering, only to find out it was one where I was expected to entertain the men. When I was surrounded and couldn't get away, it was Alfred who stepped in and protected me. That photo was taken afterward at his request, as a token of his help. It was also when I first felt my heart stir. Later, I agreed to be Alfred's girlfriend, partly because of that experience. But now looking back, our first encounter was problematic. What kind of good man would attend such a social event? There were many small stars there, and not all of them were there voluntarily, but Alfred didn't seem to do anything about it. With that thought, I moved my mouse and scrolled down, but as my eyes landed back on the photo, a strange feeling flashed through me. It wasn't the familiar feeling of seeing my younger self, but something more like recognition, like I had seen this person before. I froze for a moment. Wait, was that Lorelei? In that instant, everything clicked. No wonder Alfred had been so kind to me the day we first met, and why he confessed so quickly after just a few meetings. No wonder he had been so cold to me after marriage. Now everything made sense. He had never loved me. With this realization, even seeing my wedding ring, one that Alfred and Lorelei had chosen together, no longer stirred any emotion in me. I felt as calm as a frozen lake. I saved all of Lorelei's flirtatious messages after returning to the country, took screenshots, and organized them into a file, which I sent to my email. Then I went through every open chat and file on Alfred's computer. I managed to find some important company files and one more thing, a divorce agreement. Chapter 9. That night, I had a chaotic dream. I couldn't remember the details, but the lingering fear and coldness seemed to be etched into my body, as though they would never fade. It reminded me of the chaos at home the year I graduated. Bankruptcy, a car accident. Within the span of a month, my family was destroyed. The only relative I had left was barely clinging to life in the ICU. In order to quickly raise the money needed for the expensive treatment, I entered the entertainment industry. I wasn't talented at acting, didn't have any outstanding stage presence, and I wasn't the type to charm others or please people at every turn. As a result, I had far more critics than supporters. Over time, I nearly forgot who I had been before entering this world, the confident, idealistic person who was loved by those around me. But when I woke up that night, all of that suddenly came back to me. The old me would never have tolerated 5 years of emotional neglect in a marriage. In fact, I wouldn't have married Alfred in the first place. I was drawn to boys whose smiles could light up the world, not cold men like Alfred who were never even on my radar. So, what was the point of staying with Alfred and continuing in the entertainment industry? Alfred loved Lorelei. My mother had passed away 2 years ago. I had almost no fans left, and I didn't even enjoy this career. It all seemed meaningless. That was the truth. If I left the entertainment industry and divorced Alfred, I could find someone who truly loved me, pursue my original business dreams, and live the life I truly wanted. But before any of that could happen, I needed to settle things with Alfred and clear my name. The only question left was, how could we switch our bodies back? I fell into deep thought. Chapter 10. With a clear goal for the future, my interest in watching Alfred's misery waned. Whether or not we could swap back, I needed to brush up on my business management knowledge from college. And now, with Alfred's identity as the CEO of Easton Enterprises, I had an excellent opportunity for practical learning. For several days, I immersed myself in a sea of learning. Except for sending Alfred work files at night, I almost forgot about Alfred and Lorelei until the secretary mentioned them again. Mrs. Easton was accidentally tripped by MS. Hazlitt and injured, ending up in the hospital. There are some negative comments about MS. Hazlitt online, but the PR company is handling it. Rest assured, her reputation won't be damaged. The secretary said a lot, but I only cared about the first part. Injured? How badly is she hurt? The secretary seemed surprised but dutifully answered. When I received the news, Mrs. Easton had just been taken to the hospital. Her current condition is unclear. Hospitalized? It must be serious. Although Alfred was injured, it was my body. If there were any scars or lasting effects, I would suffer once we swapped back. I quickly asked the secretary to prepare a car to take me to the hospital where Alfred was. Chapter 11. When I arrived at the hospital, a crowd had gathered outside the ward. From a distance, I saw the entire show cast. They were all surrounding someone offering comfort, but that person wasn't Alfred, it was Lorelei. On the way, I had learned the whole story. During a game, Lorelei accidentally tripped Alfred, causing him to fall from the game platform. Whether it was intentional or not, Alfred was undoubtedly injured by her. But the ridiculous part was that the injured person was alone in the ward, while the one who caused the injury was surrounded by concern. Alfred! Lorelei spotted me in the crowd and walked over, calling out. Her eyes were slightly red, as if she had just cried. Are you here to see Daphne? She lowered her head. I'm sorry. I was too engrossed in the game and didn't notice her, causing her to get hurt so badly. Badly hurt? Hearing her words, I became even more anxious about my body's condition and walked past Lorelei without a word. But then I heard Lorelei say, Are you mad at me? Well, Daphne is your wife, so it's natural for you to care more about her than me. Wait, you know I'm his wife, yet you still say such things? Glancing at the crowd, I raised my voice. You injured my wife. Shouldn't I care about her more than you? Lorelei looked up in shock, tears welling up in her eyes, about to speak. But I didn't want to waste time with her. MS. Hazlitt, since you know I'm married, stay away from me. Don't text me late at night. You might not care about rumors, but I do." The guests in the crowd looked surprised, their gazes at Lorelai changing. I snorted softly and walked into the ward. Chapter 12. As soon as I entered the ward, I met Alfred's gaze. It seemed he had been watching the commotion outside. I closed the door and walked to the bedside, scanning his body. His forehead and right arm were bandaged, and his right leg was in a cast. Though the bandages obscured the extent of his injuries, the swollen leg gave me an idea of the pain he must have felt. It looked like it would take at least 2 or 3 months to heal. "What happened to your forehead? You weren't hurt there during the show." "I was hit when I arrived at the hospital." Alfred lowered his eyes, speaking calmly. Only then did I notice the change in him. In the past, if someone had hit him, he would have been furious. Now he was so calm. I raised an eyebrow, not commenting on his change, and asked about his condition. "Will there be any scars?" "No." "That's good." I felt relieved. Even if I wasn't an actress, I didn't want any scars on my face. "You don't need to participate in the show anymore. Rest and recover. I'll have someone pay the penalty fee." Alfred looked at me, seemingly surprised. "I thought you would make me continue." "Why would you think that? Although I dislike you and wish you more suffering, you're in my body. Even if I don't care about you, I have to care about my body." I took out my phone to text the secretary about handling the penalty fee. Also, staying in the hospital might attract haters. It's better to recover at home. Alfred didn't refuse. I came to ensure my body was fine. Once confirmed, I didn't want to stay with Alfred any longer. Leaving the secretary with him, I found an excuse to leave the hospital. As I stepped out, looking at the traffic, I suddenly realized Alfred hadn't mentioned Lorelai at all. Chapter 13. I had no interest in Alfred and Lorelai's affairs, as long as they didn't flaunt it in front of me, while I was still his wife. So my surprise was fleeting, and I quickly immersed myself in work and study. When Alfred moved back home, I thought I would feel uncomfortable, having been used to living alone for 2 years. But I found that except for work-related matters, he was so quiet that it was as if he didn't exist. I realized this when the housekeeper came to complain. The housekeeper was brought from Alfred's family home, known for her excellent cooking skills, and having watched Alfred grow up. Perhaps because of this, she never liked me, though her professionalism prevented her from showing it outright. Her subtle disdain and occasional snide remarks and tricks were like thorns. So when I swapped bodies, I gave her a vacation until Alfred's injury brought her back. "Mr. Easton, you should find someone else to take care of Mrs. Easton. Last night, when I was changing her bandages, she threw something at me." The housekeeper lifted her pant leg, revealing a bruise. "Why did she throw something at you?" "I don't know," she smiled bitterly. "I was just tidying up the medicine and bandages when she suddenly got angry and threw a cup at me." I looked at her, thinking of the time Alfred scolded me because of her. It was a small matter. She had put my least favorite vegetable in my salad, but it had happened repeatedly, and my accumulated frustration made me snap at her. She complained to Alfred, who scolded me for overreacting and made me apologize. I was so angry that I moved out that day. "She's injured and irritable. Next time, avoid her. I'll double your salary for this period." She frowned, seemingly dissatisfied with the outcome, but didn't argue. She just warned me to be careful not to get hurt by Alfred. I nodded, not taking her attempt to sow discord to heart. After all, Alfred and I were already like scattered sand. There was nothing to sow discord about. Chapter 14. Alfred might be a morally questionable man, but as the CEO of Easton Enterprises, his business acumen was undeniable. Whenever I encountered a difficult problem, asking him would yield a textbook-level solution, providing valuable experience. "Why are you suddenly interested in these things?" Alfred asked from his wheelchair. I closed my notebook. "I'm you now. If someone asks, I can't be clueless." "Who would dare ask?" "Other shareholders and business partners. You don't think they don't exist, do you?" I said while packing up my files, ready to leave. But before I reached the door, Alfred asked, "Did the housekeeper tell you about last night?" I stopped. "Yes. Don't you have any questions?" I waved my hand. "You've always had a bad temper." I gave her a raise, She won't complain anymore. Just don't throw things at people next time. It was her leg this time, no big deal. But if it were somewhere else, it could be serious. Alfred's face darkened. No reason? Is that what she told you? What else? Did she hit or scold you? When he didn't deny it, I said, then it was for no reason. If she made a small mistake, just tell her to fix it. Everyone makes mistakes. Why get angry? Does it make you feel powerful? It's just a bit of food. Tell her to make another one. Why get angry? Does it make you feel powerful? Alfred had once said to me. Now this sentence was for him. Alfred gripped the wheelchair tightly, his eyes dark. After a moment, he said, Don't you want to know why Lorelai pushed me? Why? I asked casually. I might have imagined it, but his face seemed less tense when I asked. Because she wanted to prove to you whether I trusted her or you more. I couldn't help but laugh. But she didn't expect that the person she was proving it to was you. So I haven't contacted her since. I knew that. Their chat history was now one-sided messages from Lorelai. Since that day, Alfred hadn't replied to her. So you're explaining to me? I said in surprise. Alfred turned his head, and from my angle, I could see his ears turning red. The sight of that redness stung my eyes, and I immediately cooled my expression, leaving under the pretext of work. 5 years of marriage, filled with coldness, slander, and emotional infidelity. How could he think a simple explanation would erase it all? If it were that easy, how could I face the girl who had once joyfully donned a wedding dress, only to be repeatedly shut out? Chapter 15. Neither Alfred nor I expected the opportunity to swap back would come so suddenly. One moment, I was in the office reading documents. The next, I was standing on the stairs, looking down at Lorelai lying at the bottom. The housekeeper was beside her, worriedly looking at Lorelai, but her gaze at me was filled with disapproval. One look, and I knew Lorelai was up to her usual tricks. If she was in so much pain, why did her eyes look so triumphant? Couldn't she come up with something new? This constant scheming was getting tiresome. With the housekeeper there, I didn't even need to call for help. I focused on checking my body, moving my hands and feet. There was no pain. It seemed the injuries had mostly healed. I then called Alfred to ask what had happened. Alfred briefly explained, and it was as I suspected. Lorelai, unhappy with Alfred's coldness, tried to stir up trouble between us. Don't worry about her. I recorded everything. Save the recording and send it to me. I'll handle the rest, Alfred said. Following his instructions, I saved the recording and sent it to him. Since he said he'd handle it, I left it to him. I went upstairs to pack my clothes and luggage, then left Alfred's house. Chapter 16. Lorelai's fall down the stairs was handled quietly, with no mention of it on any platform. But my blackmail surged again. Private messages, comments, and topics were filled with insults, from civilized to savage. This sudden surge of negativity was clearly orchestrated. And the only person who would hate me enough recently was Lorelai. But I wasn't in a hurry to deal with her. My contract with the company was about to expire. With my tarnished reputation and lost endorsements, the company didn't want to keep me. However, the incident with Alfred's injury and my handling of it had spread. Though they didn't know the full story, they didn't want to offend me. So I quickly negotiated my contract termination with the company. With my entertainment contract ending, my marriage to Alfred was still unresolved. After many days, I finally unblocked Alfred and sent him the revised divorce agreement. The next afternoon, Alfred stormed into my house. I will never divorce you, he declared, then softened his tone. I know you care about Lorelai and me, but I swear, I won't contact her again. If I do, may I die a horrible death. I don't care if you die or not, and I don't care about you and Lorelai. I only have one question. Did you hire people to smear me? Yes, but I've already arranged for. I cut him off with a gesture. That's all I needed to know. Since it was you, what right do you have to refuse the divorce? 5 years of coldness? Your emotional infidelity. But I can compensate you. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. And as the CEO's wife, you'll have countless resources. You like management, want to rebuild your father's company, and I can provide those resources unconditionally. Alfred tried to persuade me, but I preferred earning things through my own efforts. Alfred, as long as I don't agree, you can't divorce. I sneered and showed him a file on my phone. He took the phone, his face darkening as he read. You can refuse, but I don't know whose inbox this file might end up in. The file contained confidential Easton Enterprises documents. Leaking even one would cause significant damage, let alone an entire file. Alfred slammed the phone on the table, then gritted out, "Fine. Do you agree to all the terms?" My divorce agreement wasn't harsh. It only required Alfred to compensate me for the losses caused by the blackmail, totaling over $10 million. For an ordinary person, it was a huge sum, but for Alfred, it wasn't hard to pay. Other than that, I asked for nothing. Compared to Alfred's initial demand for me to leave with nothing, my terms were much kinder. Alfred had no grounds to refuse. With mutual agreement, we quickly finalized the divorce. Don't regret it, Alfred said. I smiled. I never will. That day, I posted my divorce certificate on Twitter. Along with it, I posted my contract termination statement, proof of Alfred hiring trolls, and chat records between Alfred and Lorelai. Thanks to Lorelai, my popularity was high. Without a word, the posts attracted countless onlookers, shooting to the top of the trending list. The comments were no longer insults, but filled with curiosity and shock. OMG, husband cheating and helping the mistress smear the wife? This is explosive. I knew something was off in the show. Lorelai's trip didn't look accidental. Isn't Alfred the CEO of Easton Enterprises? How low can he go? What a pair of scumbags. Because I had used Alfred's body to gather this evidence, I didn't hide it from him. I also sent proof of Alfred's involvement to the troll companies and influencers, along with some Easton Enterprises dirt. Though it wouldn't cripple Easton Enterprises, it would cause some pain. Now, I just had to watch them tear each other apart. Chapter 17. For the next few days, I found a serene place to vacation while watching the chaos unfold on Twitter. Those influencers, who thrived on celebrity gossip, had offended many stars. With my lead, many celebrities took the opportunity to clear their names, sue the influencers, and even release dirt on their rivals. Adding Easton Enterprises to the mix, Twitter was more chaotic than the Warring States period. Trending topics changed constantly, with hot and boiling tags never ceasing. Onlookers were thrilled, saying it was more exciting than the holidays. Lorelai, a newcomer, was quickly ousted from the chaos. Rumor had it she left the country again, and there was no further news of her. Alfred, as one of the instigators and the CEO of Easton Enterprises, publicly apologized. Internal sources from Easton Enterprises revealed that the board was unhappy with the scandal and considered replacing him. So Alfred was busy securing projects to avoid being ousted. The power struggle at Easton Enterprises lasted 5 years, with Alfred ultimately prevailing. But the internal turmoil left the company weakened, with many key talents poached by competitors. But none of this concerned me anymore. With the compensation from Alfred and my savings, I started a small company, pursuing my old business dreams. Everything was moving forward.